healer, speak love, everyone loves Lulu. See love, healer, speak love, everyone loves Lulu.
Hey world! Oh my gosh, you are looking so beautiful as always. It's me, your girl, Miss Lulu. Welcome to another episode of Everyone Loves Lulu. And I've got a treat for you like I do every week, but this one is extra scrumptious. No, she really is. She is smart. She is beautiful. She owns a business. She's a business owner. I know. It's crazy. She's like achieved more in her lifetime than I'm still trying to. So it is my absolute pleasure to introduce you to the lovely Miss Kenya Marie.
Hello.
Hi, darling. Thank you so much for joining me on Everyone Loves Lulu. I'm so excited to have you here.
I'm so excited to be here. I'm excited for this. I think it's going to be fun.
Yes, I finally get to meet you in person because just a little bit of a backstory how I got to meet this lovely soul here. I joined her 12-week program with Beyond the Physical. I always want to say Beyond the Fitness. I'm like, no, Beyond the Physical. And it really was life-changing for me, and I still use those after the 12 weeks. I still use a lot of that template in my lifetime today. So, and which is crazy because I am 10 years her senior, and that's just like, I can't believe you're only 26.
I'm definitely an old soul.
Yes,
I definitely am.
You are. When we first got to meet and had that phone interview, I was like, this girl is not. She's got to be over 30.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't look it obviously, but then when you talk, you have studied so much, and especially when it comes to your craft and your passion. So that's really awesome.
Thank you.
But let's get to know you from the beginning, right?
Okay.
Let's start from birth.
Oh, gosh.
So coming out of the vag, no, I'm just kidding. What was your first memory?
Yeah.
No,
Oh, Lord.
So where are you from, and where'd you grow up?
So I am born and raised in Orange County. I lived in close to Laguna Beach most of my life, and I don't think I'll ever leave Orange County.
Yeah.
I left for a little bit in college, and I just appreciated Orange County so much more, so I came back.
Where did you go to college?
So I went to school at Cal State Stanislaus.
Wait,
yeah,
what?
Exactly. Everybody goes, huh? I go, yeah.
That's accredited, right? I'm just
Yeah.
Like, that's not a makeup
It's
school?
probably the one Cal State that most people don't know about, but it's in the Central Valley it's in Turlock, which most people don't know, but around Stockton area.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, say that again.
Stanislaus.
Wow.
Mhm, yeah.
Okay,
I
I've
played
learned
soccer
something.
there. I didn't hear about it until I got recruited there, and I was like, well, sure.
Sounds great. You're paying for everything?
Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah, we'll go there.
Okay, and so you grew up in Orange County. You love OC, and you came back because there's
do.
no place like home,
I
apparently.
do, yeah. When you're here for a long time, you take it for granted, and then you leave, and you're like, no, I'm coming back.
Like, I had it so good.
Yes.
What was I thinking?
Yes.
The grass isn't greener on the other side all the time.
Yes, exactly.
And so you grew up in a single-parent household.
Yeah, so we grew up with my mom. It's me and my sister, my mom, and my grandma. And then when I was about 5 or 6, my mom got married to my now stepdad. Yeah, so for the first 6 years, it was just us 3 and 4 with my grandma sometimes, and then... Yeah.
And then
my
stepdad came into
yeah.
Okay. And then I thought it was interesting that you didn't know your dad, so you're African American and Italian and Irish. And your dad's African American.
Yeah.
Or at least you're, the sperm donor, right? And he came back into your life when you were a teenager.
Yeah, so him and my mom broke up before I was born. And these are all things that I started finding out in recent years. My aunt slipping something up or whatever. I'm like, oh, what? So they broke up before I was born. I didn't know him when I was younger. I think I saw him for a couple months when I was 5. He was dating someone who, the story goes, he was dating someone who was like, you need to be in your kid's life or
no, this is not happening.
And so we were around, and then when they broke up, we stopped seeing him.
Oh.
Yeah, and then my sister was really good at shot put. It's a track thing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And
dang, that's really strong. That
yeah,
takes a lot of
she's
skill.
super strong. So
is she younger or older than you?
She's 18 months older.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So, and yeah, she made it to finals in LA, and he's from Compton and Long Beach, and so he came out, and so I saw him, and we've kept in touch, and we're working on our relationship. But,
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and especially because you, in your life right now, I definitely want to get to where we talk about when fitness and working out and exercise and health came into the picture. So when did that start to happen?
Well, I quit soccer after my first year of college, and I was like, well, I need to do something now to like.
But you always played
active.
soccer?
Always played soccer. That was like my first love, you know. And then I second year of college, I was like, well, I need to stay active, and so I was in the weight room, and I didn't know what I was doing, but I just felt good there, so I just stayed there, you know.
That was your happy place.
It was like my therapy.
Okay, but quick recap though, or just to even mention it, you finished your undergrad in 3 years. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, you definitely just wanted to get out of there,
And
right?
so, like, yeah. So what's so funny is I had no intention on graduating early. Like, I wasn't trying to rush through it, but, you know, I paid my way through college, and it was expensive. And I was like, I crunched the numbers and said, wait a minute, if I just do a couple summer classes, a couple winter classes, it ends up being cheaper than a full year tuition.
Oh, that's so smart.
Yeah, so I just did like 22 units per.
Oh my
it was
God, that's
stupid.
insane.
Yeah.
But then weren't you also working like
I
2,
was
3
working
jobs?
Yes, I've always worked 2 or 3 jobs. I was a behavioral technician, so I worked with autistic kids.
Wow.
And then I was also a barista, and I work at a restaurant.
And your major was psychology. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so with the barista though, I mean, did you like, I need coffee, and I know you need coffee in your life.
It's so funny because I wasn't even a coffee drinker at the time. But
it just says so happy, like, okay, it's paying what I need to pay, and it's working with my
it
hours.
was the only job that I could start working at like 4 a.m.
Yeah.
And so I had to start early because I had another job after school. So
When did you sleep, honestly, though?
I don't even know.
When you look back and you're like, how did I survive those 3 years?
I
Because
know.
that's intense.
Yeah, I was always
But then it
working.
didn't really stop.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
So after college, you came back to Orange County?
I came back to Orange County, and I started going to Cal State Fullerton for graduate school.
Okay.
And then I got my master's there in social work.
In social work. Okay. And
Yeah.
what made you or decide to go into social work?
I actually thought I was going to go to school for therapy, to be an MFT, American Family Therapist.
Yes.
But last minute, I was talking with one of my professors, and she said, do you want to sit in a room and talk to someone all day, every day, 40 hours a week? I was
And
like,
take on
and take
their
on all that-
pain and their...
yeah.
oh.
And I was like, no, I can't do that all day, every day. She's like, well, maybe you should do social work because it's a lot of therapy, but also, you
get to
casework
actually-
and things
yeah.
for getting up and doing things. And so last minute, I did that, and yeah.
And you were happy that you did.
I'm so happy that I did.
Okay.
Which is funny because I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing social work anymore, but I'm still appreciative of the experience.
Okay, so then, but your 2 to 3 jobs always involve some kind of fitness, health, right?
Yeah, I was always working at a gym. Like, so through grad school, I was working at a gym. I was coaching little kids soccer. They're like the cutest things, little like 4 or 5-year-olds.
And you can really mold their little minds.
Yeah, they're the sweetest. So I would go to class, you know, and then go coach, go to the gym, and it was all over.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So then after that, you finished grad school, you got your master's, and then you decided what?
So after grad school, I went and worked for Child Protective Services.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
If the walls could speak there, right?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I was
2 years?
Yeah, I was locked into a contract actually.
Oh my gosh.
So I got a stipend. So that basically the government paid my way through graduate school. I just
Okay,
owed-
and just, I'm sorry to interrupt,
Yeah.
but you're only 26, so this was just like, what,
I
a
was
few
20
seconds ago?
Yeah, I graduated graduate school at like 23, I think.
Holy
22
shit,
or 23, yeah.
dude.
And
What am I doing?
No,
No,
no. No, so I worked for the government for a couple of years, and I hated it. I fucking hated it.
Yeah.
And I was like a miserable human being. And so I
Which is so hard to see because of the type of person that you are. And I
Yeah.
was like, what the heck? Okay.
Yeah.
So, you did that for 2 years, and that just ended, right?
So I left there in September.
Okay.
yeah.
Of 2020.
2020,
During
yeah.
the pandemic, which was like the best time to do that.
Yeah. Yes. it
And
was.
since we're bringing up the pandemic, how were you during the lockdown?
So the first few months of it, I was still at the county, and I was an emergency response worker, so I still had to go out to calls.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, so we didn't like. I know the world, you know, everyone else is freaking out, but I didn't have a choice. I had to still go into people's homes. I still had to interview, you know what I mean? And so the world kept going for me. And then
But you started your business in March of last year, right? Okay.
Yeah, so I started in March, which is like right when COVID
Yeah,
hit.
right when it hit, you're
Yeah.
like, yay, new 2020 is my year.
Yes,
What the fuck?
Yes, I was like, how is this gonna work? And I was like, oh, I'm gonna be making a lot of at-home workouts though. Like I just like kind of think quick. Like, okay, people are at home now. They're gonna be bored out of their mind. They're gonna be eating. You know what I mean? They're gonna be sitting. Yes. So like, yeah, it worked out. It worked out for sure.
Yeah, it was meant to happen in that.
It was definitely divine timing. I feel 100%. Yeah.
Okay, but then you started your business, but you didn't end your other job that you were miserable at, until September. So that's 6 months of kind of pushing and pulling and clawing.
Again,
your
doing
way.
2 jobs.
Oh my
always story of my life.
gosh. And but you also had a partner in all of this. Your husband.
Yes.
Or you're now separated, but
Yeah.
2 years ago, right? But you've been together for a long time.
We have. So we met in college.
Yeah.
And
in Timbuktu.
yeah, we met in college, and he's 5 years older than me.
Okay.
So he was like on his way out, and I was just getting there, and
Just kind of stuck.
yeah, and he's from Orange County, so it just made it easy. Came back home. And
Oh,
he's here.
that's nice.
Yeah, so like you said, we're just working through some shit right now, and gonna see what happens.
And really using your psychology degree.
Oh
right?
yeah, I therapize him all day, which is the problem. Our therapist said stop doing that.
Like, that's why you have me.
Yeah. So
But so technically, you guys have been together how long total?
So we've been together 7 years.
Okay. Been married 2 years.
Married 2 years. And
Okay.
our wedding anniversary was just a couple days ago.
Oh,
know.
happy
anniversary.
anniversary.
We did celebrate it together, and it was actually really nice. So
awesome.
it's just it's a weird thing to try to navigate.
Yeah, I can only imagine for
Yeah.
sure. I mean, I've been married for 8 years, and what we were just talking about, if that was ever estranged, it's like this person has been a part of you for so long, and how to navigate, these new changes. And with that comes, I mean, you're 26 for God's sake.
Yeah.
I mean, you took on so much so fast that now it's like, okay, you're taking a pause from certain things.
Yeah, and that's like I always like to say, like I was a child when I met him. Like you think you're grown at 19, 20.
Of course.
You know what I mean? And you're like, you think you know it all. And and I love him to death. Like I'm like so blessed to be, his wife. But we just rushed quick. I think even though we were dated for like 4.5 years before we got married, but everything was just so quick. When you're young, 19, 20, you're still learning. And again, he's 5 years older. So when I'm kind of learning new things about myself, he's like, well, I'd like to say he's figured it out, but then I'm like, wait a minute, then don't figure out this.
First, well, if you're 19 and he's 5 years, that's about the same.
yeah. I was gonna say, actually, we probably learned about the same. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the new challenge in your life currently. Yeah. But let's dive into the fitness. So then, after college, and you decided then, okay, I want to do. Well, I mean, after you getting out of this other job and starting your business, what made you even think, okay, I really want to do fitness. I want to learn about it. I want to be a life coach.
Yeah. So I was always coaching. I was helping out my peers during grad school. In between classes, we'd sometimes have like a 2-hour break, and so I would go train them because I was like the workout one.
Right,
I was
right.
the one that played college soccer or whatever. So I would go help them. I didn't really know what I was doing, but I was like, well, this is what I do. And
yeah, and it seems to be working for me.
Yeah, and then I was working at the gym still, so I was like picking apart the trainer's brains. I'm like, why do you do this? Why do you do this? Like, why do you train them like that? Yeah. And so I actually met a girl online, and actually I didn't meet her online. I met her at a festival. Oh. And she had like a banging body, but she was still like partying and having fun. And I was like, how does she do both? Because when I do it, like I don't get fit, And so I was just really amazed by that. I was like, how is she so fit? But like she's out here still enjoying herself. And so anyhow, we found each other on social media. I hired her. She helped me lose like 30 pounds in like 3.5 months or so.
Wow.
Yeah. And
that's insane.
Yeah.
Just by changing certain things.
Just by changing my diet, because I was working out like 5-6 days a week. It was literally my diet that was just trash.
Right.
And so
isn't that kind of 80%
of
what it is?
Your diet is everything. You can't out-train a bad diet, you know? And that was my reality. I was in the gym 5-6 days a week,
Unless you're one of those athletes like Olympic level that are burning 10,000 calories a day, you're not.
Exactly. And so, so I was inspired by her. I liked what she was doing for me, and I've always had a passion for helping other people, and I thought it was going to be social work full time, but it's like I'm doing my own type of social work with what I'm doing now.
Well, because it's a vulnerable situation, you know, for people when they want to lose weight or when they want to get healthy. It's a lot of vulnerability, and you're putting your health and your life into somebody else's hands, and you're doing your therapy, your work, because it's all mental. I mean, well, a lot of it is, you know, definitely you got to get your ass up and do something, but the mental part of it, the emotional aspect of getting healthy is so fucking hard.
It's so hard. And I think that sometimes when I was doing in person, like working at the gym, you know, you'll have a trainer say like, do this exercise, you know, eat this when you get home, but like there's no real eyes on you.
Yeah.
And most people don't understand is like when we get into these phases of being, you know, where we're binge eating at night or we're emotionally eating when we're sad, like that's all mental stuff.
Right.
So we have to figure out that stuff before you're worried about trying to lose 5 pounds, you know?
Because it's just going to repeat itself.
It's going to repeat itself.
And then one of the funnest things and the challenging things when I was doing your program was just the accountability of it. And I remember when I came to you, I was like, I need accountability. And like you said, eyes aren't on you 24/7 to keep you accountable. You have to do the majority of that yourself. And you have to get into a place where like you're either ready or you're not, you know, and what are the steps to get there. And so, but I loved how you had your weekly check-ins, but not only like 3 times a week, you wear your heart on your sleeve and you get to like really tell everyone your experience. Yeah. Because you had a bout with, was it depression early on?
I had crazy anxiety.
Okay.
Like crazy anxiety, passing out. Yeah, I'd pass out.
From being so anxious?
Yeah.
Oh, from anxiety. Holy
yeah,
cow.
I literally, like, the worst one was in grad school, actually. I found out my grandma had died, my dad's mom. And so I didn't know her.
Right.
And so I had a bunch of feelings come over me like, well, I didn't know her. Oh, shoot, now I need to get to know my dad because I don't want him to pass and not to, you know.
And not know him.
Yeah, and I had a full-on freak out. And, of course, I'm in a room full of therapists because, you know, all my friends are like, so they drove me home. So that was my first one. Then my second one, I passed out at home. I was arguing with my husband or something, and I was just so worried, and I passed out, and thank God he was there, because I was like this close to hitting the corner of a table, of our dining room table, and I was like, yeah, I need to get my anxiety in check. Like, this is problematic.
And how did you get that in check?
I mean, I just kind of went in. I always say that to my clients, like, just go in. If you're freaking out about something, you're worried, you're stressed, you're like, go in. So I would just sit there and like meditate. And I would just like, okay, Kenny, what's going on? Like,
okay, I love what you talked about meditation as well, because everybody has a different way of meditating. Yeah. So for me, sitting there and being quiet with my thoughts, because my brain is loud as fuck all the time. And what I loved was like, okay, if you can't quite get into the meditation part yet, read, you know, like, okay, read, go for a walk and read. I was like, okay, I can do that because I love to read. And so that was like another form of meditation.
Yeah, you can meditate
just
in so many ways. Like surfing is meditation for some people, or, you know, being with their friends. The thing though for me is that I was relying on the gym too much. Yeah. That like my brain was busy because I was focusing on like my pump or focusing on my exercise, and I realized this is great. This is a great outlet, but I'm not actually going in like and figuring my stuff out. I'm just kind of distracted. It was like another form of distraction. Yeah.
Wow, that's a good point. Okay, so then you're finding ways to manage your anxiety, but I feel like you're so well read when you're actually presenting certain ideas, or it's like, look, it didn't come out of my ass. Like I actually researched it, or I found somebody who is an expert in it, you know, and I got to really learn it and then apply it. So a lot of the things, it's like I'm a reader, I'm an avid reader, but what happens is application is the hard part, right? Actually applying the information that you're learning is the tough step.
Yep. And how you fix that is by surrounding yourself with other people. I always try to be the least smart person in a room. Like I want everybody in the room to be smarter than me because I'm just going to pick their brains.
Right, because then it just makes you better.
Yeah. And
elevates you.
Yeah, and if you see other people starting their businesses or starting their podcast, doing things, it's like, damn, I want to be around them because I want to see how they're doing these things. You know, if I'm the smartest person in the room, I'm in the wrong room.
Right, because then we're gleaning everything from you, not the other way around. You're like, what am I learning?
I would surround myself with people that were calm and like learned how to be, you know, problem solvers and things. And so I was like learning through them, and then it helped me my anxiety and like, okay.
So when you got together with that girl from the festival, right, and then it just sparked you, okay, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
Okay. And then it brought on, how did Beyond the Physical happen?
So, gosh, I don't even know. I was training a few people. I just put it out there one day, like, yep, I'm going to start training online. Like, I don't know. I ran like a free challenge, had like 25 girls sign up.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, and I just told them what I know. And I think what's so different about me and my girls that are coaching with me is that we don't try to be anything we're not. Like, I'll be the first to say, I am not an expert in sports science. I am not. My background, my educational background is psychology and social work. All day long, I could tell you about different, whatever.
Right.
But I'm always, like you said, I'm always going to figure it out. I'm always going to figure out an answer. My client asks me something. If I don't know it, I'm going to figure it out. And so if that means I'm up studying, reading, searching the internet, asking my mentors, like that's what I'm doing so that I can provide that best answer to my client.
And that's a great resource that, as mentioned, you have mentors.
Oh, for
like
sure.
You're mentoring other people, but you have your own mentors.
Yeah.
Like you said, you want to be the least smart person in the room when it comes to things. And then you have your own coach.
Yeah,
as well.
I do. I always have my own coach. Like for the accountability, that accountability is huge. Check in, and he's a hard ass. Like I am so nice to my girls. I'm so nice to my clients. He's a hard on me. And
is that what you need?
Yes.
Okay.
100%. I need someone that's just like, get your shit together, Kenny. Get your shit together. I'm like, fuck, okay. Like, okay, you're right.
You're right.
I can't make any excuses. You're right. Yeah. So it works out.
And when did you decide to do shows, actually bodybuilding?
Yeah.
Because that's a part of you too.
Yes. So Alex, which was the girl that I hired initially, she did bodybuilding. And so when I hired her as my coach, I started seeing, things that she would repost and all these girls. I'm like, what is this sport? I had never heard of bikini bodybuilding. And I was like, what is this sport? Like,
when you think about bodybuilding, you think Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah,
you think
big old
huge.
chicks, like huge steroids and bikini division is, we call it like Victoria's Secret models with muscle.
Yes.
That's what we say, because you're in a really tiny bikini with 6-inch heels. You have to have good makeup, good hair. You have to look presentable.
Right.
And you have just enough muscle mass to not be like a model, but be an athlete.
Be an athlete.
So I love it. So yeah, I saw her and I was like, I'm going to start doing that. I need
and that's just how it started.
Yeah, I was bored.
How? You don't
I know,
sleep?
I
Like
know.
you're taking on all these projects? When were you bored?
It was after grad school. And I've always been someone that needs mental stimulus. Like I need it. And after grad school.
Constant,
which is probably problematic a little. But like I needed something to challenge me, and grad school was over. And so I was like, well, getting to 11% body fat and sticking to a diet like perfectly for 16 weeks, like that sounds like a challenge. So
yeah. Damn near sounds impossible.
Yeah.
And that's why there's only 5% of people that actually do bikini bodybuilding or bodybuilding in general, or things that happen in fitness, because everybody can be an expert these days. It seems like. Well, but why the name Beyond the Physical?
So I always like to say we like to go beyond just the physical change. So I can guarantee my clients results, physical results, should they follow the program, right?
Right.
Should you follow the program, you're going to get results. But the thing is like I said, if you want to lose weight, you have to go inside your head, because most of us aren't not hitting our goal weight because we don't know what to do, or it's because something's holding us back. Comfortability is holding us back. A lot of times we're scared. And so I always say we're going to go beyond just our physical appearance. Let's go into our mental. Let's go into our emotional states. Let's level up spiritually. Like let's not just care about our physical appearance, because you can look super hot on the beach in 2-piece bikini, but if you're fucked up in the head and you're thinking about, the worst thoughts every day,
you won't look that. You're not going to feel that way. You're not going to
feel pretty even if you look pretty.
Right.
Yeah. So we need to make sure that you're feeling good, and then you're going to look good.
Amen to that. Yeah. Shit. Okay. And then, so Beyond the Physical happened, and you quit your job in September, or your government job, right?
Yeah.
That regular 9-to-5 life that was sucking you dry.
Yes. And
you kind of just lunged in head first.
Yeah. And you know what's so crazy is I'm a Capricorn. I'm a type A. I had 5, 10, 15-year plans. Like I was psycho like that. And I don't know what happened, but I was just like, I'm just going to go for it and like hope I don't fail.
Oh, and I mean, so far you're doing great.
Yeah.
It's over 60 clients now.
Yeah, over 60 clients.
You have multiple coaches.
I
with
do.
you.
We have other coaches. I've hired on other coaches underneath me. So I basically mentor them and train them. and teach them the ins and outs of online coaching. Because online coaching, you're not only a personal coach, but you have to learn the online world. You have to learn, and it's so changing, like so fast.
Yes, and it's instant.
Yeah, like you have to keep up with the platforms. You have to, TikTok is, people are like, oh, TikTok's stupid, but fucking get on TikTok.
Right.
Yeah, like you have to keep up. And so it's my job to like always be all eyes everywhere and then tell them. So
Yeah, and those social media and like you said, all the different platforms are now that's your resume.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, and it's crazy. Even for a regular big time job, they're looking at your social media to see what you're following, to see what your content is, because like, do we want this person to work for us or not? So yeah, like you said, it's a whole nother beast to navigate on its own. I am horrible at social media. I mean, my team will tell you all the time, right, Joe? He's all like, I don't know how many lectures I get every day about post more. Yes, post more. What the fuck are you doing? I need to see your meal. Just post something. I'm just like, damn it, I'm going to. But so now you're doing that, and take us through what your program kind of entails.
Yeah,
like from the start.
So it's actually now, when you did, I think it was a 12-week. It's 16 weeks now.
Nice.
Yeah, so we offer a 16-week full transformation program. And essentially you'll get a workout program, the workout piece, the nutrition piece, and the accountability. So for the workouts, I'll design the program specific to my clients. Like I don't give a random PDF that you can find on Google. I'm like, okay, Susie has scoliosis, so I'm not going to have her deadlifting whatever pounds, right? So everything's really personalized, and so they log onto my app. Obviously, they get to see their workouts. I update that every 4 weeks or so, and then I think the big piece is the nutrition. We have a lot of education. It's a very educational based program.
Yes,
because what I didn't want was to get my clients results, and then they're feeling really good, and then they finish, and then they're like, oh fuck, I didn't learn anything,
right? And
then they gain all that weight back, and then they're just like, and then they have this really negative opinion about dieting, and then there's this diet culture, and it's like, no, we're not. So I always tell my clients, like, we're not dieting, we're changing our lifestyle. And so it's, I give them meal plans, and then I try teaching them about macros and just my approach.
Oh my gosh, that was a big lesson for me, just the macros. You know, I mean, like, I never put a name to it, but I was a professional athlete for a long time, and it was like a lot of the things that you were talking was a good reminder of the things that I used to do when I was active as an athlete. But, all of me weighing my food and counting my calories and counting my proteins and my carbs, I didn't know that was called, your macros.
Yeah, because our protein, so tracking your food, if you're trying to change your physique in any way, you have to track your food, because you could put, get a spoonful of peanut butter and you're like, oh, it's just a spoonful, thinking it's 1 tablespoon. In reality, it's like 3 tablespoons.
Right.
And so people don't think about those things. And I never thought about those things. And that's why I was always in a cycle of dieting, binge eating, restricting my food, binge eating, know. And so I'm like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it fully. I'm going to teach them so that they can teach their kids. They can have this information for the rest of their life. And so that's a huge part of the nutrition. And then, of course, the accountability. Like, that's a huge thing. It's like every week you're checking with me. And that alone, people are like, oh, I gotta, I don't want to work out today, but coach is going to have to check in, and she's going to know if I didn't do something. So
Right. Yeah. That was really awesome. Like, you had to take your pictures, your pictures every week, your measurements, and it just made a huge difference. It was very intimidating a lot of the time, and like you said, life gets in the way, and what I loved about it is that you do understand, and I think it's the female in you, right? That genetic where we empathize. We know that life gets in the way because you go through your own shit, a lot of the time. One of your sessions, which was really cool, because you have check-in with every Tuesday?
Every Thursday.
Right, but I meant like you do like your gems where you're talking about your mental health, mental check. Is that Fridays?
So now I do it every so there's so many of us coaches now that we take turns.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, but I was going live in our Facebook community.
Monday, Wednesday.
Yeah, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, just talking about mindset, talking about tips and tricks and just things to know when you're on a fitness journey. But I did focus on the mental aspect of it, because that's my favorite.
Well, yeah, and that's your background.
Yeah.
So now you can actually use that degree.
Yeah, exactly. I always say, like,
that you paid for.
Yeah, exactly. And I got, spent hundreds for a fucking piece of paper.
Right?
So stupid.
That you learn more on the outside, but it's cool.
Exactly.
At least you got it. At least you got it.
Oh,
So, yeah, but the mental part of it, going back to that, what we talked about, it's huge. And a lot of people tend to forget that. Mm-hmm. Like you said, you could look great. You could look like the picture on the magazine and be the model. Yeah. But on the inside, you're dying, you're hurting, you're feeling shitty. Yeah. And that actually has an effect
it really
on
does.
your body.
It really, really does. And even just coming down to things like managing your stress. Like, people are like, oh, I know stress is bad, but like, okay, so what are you going to do about it? So I'll literally do a 30-minute live on, like, listen, this is how we are going to manage our stress. We're going to take time in the morning and not look at our phone, so we're not instantly distracted.
Yes, that was a really good one, because it's like a part of our appendage now.
How many of us wake up, look over, grab your phone and start scrolling?
Yeah.
And it's like you're automatically putting things into your mind instead of just like sitting up and being like, what kind of day do I want to have? You could wake up and be like, fuck, I have a text from my ex, and then you're instantly in a bad mood or some shit like that. You know what I mean?
Or you're like, fuck it.
Yeah. So
there goes the day. What are it? Krispy Kremes? Perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that was the funniest thing. I want to bring it a little bit of a tangent, but I'm so glad you actually put that out there. When Krispy Kremes was giving out the free donuts for the vaccine.
I can't.
Oh, the passion that was coming through the flames in your eyes.
I could not. My husband goes, who pissed you off? I go, Krispy Kreme. They're giving out fucking free donuts. Oh my God.
For your vaccine cards.
Yeah.
Like, hey, great. Now you're protected from COVID, but you're going to die of diabetes and fucking clogged arteries and everything.
Oh, don't even get me started. It's crazy because if you look at the funding for a lot of these,
I know.
It's
I know
crazy.
it gets tough.
It's crazy.
But it's propaganda a lot of the times. And they feed to our already obese society that are going through chronic illnesses that are avoidable. Right? And that's the worst part. A lot of these diseases that we die from can be completely avoided.
Yeah.
Like,
and
you weren't born with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that shit you made happen to
And
yourself.
that's what, like, makes me sad is that people, are struggling with hypertension or, diabetes and all these health issues, and then they pass them on to their children. And it's like they're dying 10, 15, 20 years earlier than they need to.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like there's nothing, or even in grad school, my thesis was on childhood obesity, and the difference between Caucasian children and Black children, and why And
what was it? What did you find?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. This shit pissed me off. So I'll do it quickly, but essentially in lower poverty areas where, generally house predominantly African Americans or Hispanics, so many different things. For one, the price of like an apple, let's say, is different from the price of an apple in the exact same grocery store, but in a suburban area. And so these families are going out, they're like, well, I can't afford that. I'm not going to get the apple, but the Cheetos are $1 less. I'll do the Cheetos instead or whatever. Same thing with like activities. So there's more to offer, healthier parks, cleaner parks. So kids are able to go out and play in wealthier areas, but in impoverished areas, they don't have that same luxury. So kids they're eating poorer food and they're not staying as active. They're not going outside, and we're not really doing anything about it. And there's tons of other studies I had to research, and it's crazy.
Because we're very similar, African Americans and Pacific Islanders, and a lot of us are in impoverished communities as well. And it's true. Yeah. It's true because, when I first moved here to America, that was the thing. It's like eating healthy is so much more expensive. But then you realize it's just your geography, right? It's your geography and your pocketbook, like your status.
Yeah, and it's education too. Like these kids, a lot of the kids, they weren't being educated really on what healthy foods are, that you should incorporate plants. And there was one study I was reading about, and they showed a bunch of, I think it was like third graders or something, a bag of chips and a fruit. I think it was an apple. And they said, which one is healthier? And all of the kids, like, overwhelmingly chose the chips.
No way.
Yeah, because they didn't know, because the chips were more familiar. So like, so when you tell a kid which one's healthier, they think healthy as in good. Good is what I'm familiar with, so the chips. Right. And so they pick the chips, and it's like, that's so telling. that we're not teaching kids like, no, actually, an apple's better for you, and this is why.
And this is why. And that's part of the problem. I mean,
Yeah.
and it's that cycle that we were
Yeah.
talking about, because then it goes into your health care, right? Nobody wants to go to the doctor. The doctor is bad. And but it's because those aren't available
Yeah.
to us, you know, as much as
Yeah.
in the wealthier areas. Okay, so the whole Krispy Kreme
Yeah, that shit pissed
debacle,
me off.
that was like,
I was like, get out of here.
your rant was
I went on
priceless.
a rant. Every time I go on a rant, I always have some friend or someone be like, wow, fuck, who pissed you off? I was like, it's so funny because I'm so pretty zen, I'd say. Like, I'm pretty
yeah,
positive,
you are.
But I think it's on my bio right now. Like, I'm definitely like a spiritual gangster. Like, I try to be super zen, but if something pisses me off, like, you're about to see a different Kenny. Like, you know? And so, yeah, that pissed me off.
What are some of the other things, or mainly some of the misconceptions when it comes to health and when it comes to fitness, like exercise?
I'd say some of the biggest misconceptions I usually hear are that you have to cut out your carbs or like completely restrict one food group.
Carbs are devil. What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
that's the thing. Oh, I can't have carbs. They make me fat. No, carbs don't make you fat. Too many carbs make you fat.
Right. Too
You
much
know?
of anything.
Exactly. And so that's usually something. And then also that, it's my genetics. Oh, I just have bad genetics. And genetics do play a role, especially in like the shape of your body, but it has nothing to do with being able to lose excess body fat. You just
Right.
have to be in a caloric deficit, eat less food than what you're burning.
And that's really like in the simplest.
In the simplest way, it's just be
you're
more
burning,
active.
burning more calories than you're intaking.
Yeah. If you want to lose weight or if you want to maintain, just like don't overeat.
Right.
But, I mean, that's it. Or be more active.
Oh, and I know you're going to be signing up for her program. I know it. But one of the tools, like you provided so many tools that just stick with me still now, just like measuring your food.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't have a scale for your food and measuring out your food, guess what? There's no excuse
Yeah, you can
because
use your hands.
Can
Yeah.
we talk about that?
Yeah, I couldn't even tell you off my head. But it's like the size of your palm should be however many, like how much your protein should be or whatever. Like your hand is how many veggies, or your thumb is like the amount of
fat,
fat. Yeah, so that's the thing too. Is people are like, oh, I don't want to track. Tracking is too difficult. I don't want to weigh out my food.
Well, then you're just going to be fat.
Yeah,
you're
and it's
going to
like,
be
that's
unhappy.
Okay. Yeah, and it's like that's okay, but like you could look at it and get a good idea. And if you're still too, bigger than what you want to be, then cut that down a little bit. So people like to make excuses because it's hard to change. But
yes, it is.
You
You
know.
get complacent, but so your body does too.
Yeah.
So your body knows, right? It's like, okay, I've been consuming all this fat and all the food that I've, or my host enjoys. And then when it changes, when you don't get instant results, that's a lot of the problem for a lot of people as well, because they're like, I've done this for 5 days and
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I've done this for 2 weeks and I
don't see anything.
I'm not 20 pounds down yet. I'm like, no, girl, that's not how it works.
So what's a healthy amount of weight per week?
A healthy amount is about half a pound to 1 pound per week.
And that's crazy, right? Especially and I bet that's frustrating for you as a coach and as a fitness trainer when you're seeing all the fads that happen. Oh, you can lose 10 pounds in 10 days.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like
the reason that pisses me off is because it's just misleading information. And some people, the one thing I've learned while doing this is people just don't know. So you can't get mad at someone. People don't know. And so when they have a quote unquote health expert telling them, oh no, I did a post yesterday asking what's the dumbest advice you've heard or the worst advice.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you saw that, but some of the answers, I was like, one girl said she had to eat 15 bananas a day and coffee. The program should say 15 bananas a day. So she just did 15 bananas a day and coffee.
And coffee.
Yes, and she's like, I felt miserable, nauseous. I was like, of course you were. Of course you were. But the truth of it is that people are actually doing those things because there's someone out there that looks like they know what they're talking about saying, take a shot of oil if you're doing a keto diet to get your fat in. And it's like, that's why. Like, what? So.
But then that also comes along with one of the misconceptions that I always know is that the cookie cutter programs.
Yeah.
Where they lump everybody in like you're the same person. And just because your trainer looks incredible and what works for them might not necessarily work for you.
Exactly.
Like, yes, the basics, the foundation could be applied, but it has to be personalized.
Yep. I have several. We just incorporated like a mommy and me program.
Oh.
So for all my like pregnant moms or like nursing moms or even just
Great.
moms that like still have young ones and they're like, I don't have the time to, I have like
I
a
was
specific,
one of those for you.
I have like
Yeah.
a specific program like for that. And then I have, girls who are trying to do like CrossFit. And so you can't have the same plan for everybody because everybody's different. And even two people that look the same, their training is going to be different and their eating is going to be different. So if you don't actually care about your clients and you don't care about,
then just here you go.
Then here you go. But it's like, I care because it's like, selfishly, it's like, that's my name.
Well, yeah.
And
guess what? In your business, it's word of mouth.
It-
Results
yeah.
speak for itself. So if you're
Yeah.
putting out a program and you don't give a shit about that client, guess what? Your referrals,
Yeah.
it affects your business
yeah.
and your livelihood.
yeah, about 80% of my business is referral based. And I'm like fucking proud of that. Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah.
I mean, that shows that you're actually connecting to people and they can't wait to tell.
Yeah, to
you
tell
know,
their friends.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the next person about, hey, you noticed I've been looking good or feeling
Yeah.
good or my energy's up or my
Yeah.
routines.
My confidence is so much better. Yeah.
Yes. What are you doing? Because that's the question that comes up. Like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh well, this is my person.
Yep.
And that's so great. So 80% of your business. That's
Yeah.
huge.
It's huge. It's yeah.
And you've grown exponentially even since
my
the
gosh, yeah.
the winter when I was with you.
Yeah, I was by myself, just coaching by myself. Like,
I had no idea how you were doing it because you were available to us literally 24/7.
Yeah.
You would even feel so bad taking your Sunday off or like I had turned my phone off at 7 p.m. You're like, okay, just kidding. I'm still up until 9 p.m.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, you need me at 11? I'm like, Kenny.
I know. I'm getting better with that.
Well, because now you have some help, thank
yeah,
God.
I'm getting better with that. And, as we've grown and I've learned, like, I need to take me time because then if I'm not good, I'm not going to show up for my clients, and
Right.
then we all lose, so.
Now, to go back, I remember you sharing, which I love, is that I think that's another thing that's very different about your kind of coaching is that you're very transparent about your own life. And
Sometimes too transparent. I'm like, I was too
I was
honest.
actually about to ask how your partner, how did he receive that? How did he take that when you were being very open?
So I have been open about a lot on social media. Like, I was sexually assaulted a couple of years ago. My husband and I are separated or whatever you want to call it, taking a time out.
Right, time out.
I got my breast. Like, I'm very open because I didn't realize I have a small following, right? It's not like I have like 100,000 followers out here or whatever. But
you have a loyal following.
But I have a loyal following. They pay attention to everything I do and say. And I realized, when people start asking me questions or if I said something that maybe wasn't necessarily the truth or I had a crazy filter on, people were questioning me about it and they wanted to know. If I didn't post for a couple of days, I would get messages like, hey girl, just checking, are you good? And I'm like, holy shit. People are like paying attention. And so I was like, listen, I don't want to be another person that only shows the good stuff. I want them to see that like I'm human too. And I'm no special, like no more special than you are. Like we all have our struggles and it's amazing because every time I share something, I get a floodgate of messages. Oh my gosh, I'm going through this too.
Yes, and you don't even realize. And it then, it's confirmation for you like, oh shit, life does happen.
Yeah.
And it happens to me just as much as it happens to you.
When I posted about that that my husband and I were struggling, I got probably like 50 messages in the first like maybe 2 hours.
Well, that was just huge because, when I was with you for my program, you were just so, like, everything about your team. And your team was your partner. Yes. And so it looked picture perfect all the time.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean? And so then it kind of took this crazy turn. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure your followers felt the same way because all of a sudden I was like, wait, I thought y'all were like forever the dream, the fairy tale.
So the reason why I felt compelled to post that is because I would get messages anytime I would post stuff, me and him, power couple, people would DM me, power couple, and goals. And I was like, no, I appreciate it. But no, we're just like you guys. We argue, we bicker, we have differences, we're working through shit too. And so I was like, I don't want people thinking something that's not entirely true. I just need to be transparent. And I did show him the post before I posted it.
Well, yeah, I would think that. Yeah, that would have been a whole nother can of worms.
Yeah,
right?
I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, yeah, no, I did was like, is it okay if I share this? I'm going to tell people that we're struggling right now. And he was like, yeah. Yeah.
And that's part of the reason why you love him,
I
obviously.
do love him so much. And we're going to work through it, but it's just we needed a timeout. We needed a timeout for sure.
And this timeout is however long.
It's however long. We didn't put a timeline on it, like.
Which is good.
Yeah, and it's just, yeah.
I mean, and to still, I know that you're very transparent, but like to still be roommates and that's really tough because you just bought a house, didn't you?
We didn't buy, we're renting
Oh,
it.
okay,
yeah,
okay.
Thank God. Oh my God.
That's another contract you're like done locked in.
So many contracts. Oh my God. No, so we, we're still living together and we talked about one of us moving out. Just to have some physical space, but it's just not a good, smart financial move. Because the place we rent is just stupid expensive. Like it's a dumb move. We did a dumb move.
But his background, he's a nutritionist, isn't he?
So his background's in biology.
Wow.
Yeah, and he's smart as hell. Like he's one of the smartest people
Obviously,
I know.
Who goes into biology?
Yeah, his educational background is in biology, but he's actually a beekeeper.
Wow.
Yeah, so his parents have a beekeeping business, very successful beekeeping business, and
that is so cool.
It's so random. And so his parents are like health nuts as well. So all of his life he's been
around.
They taught me actually about healthy diet. Yeah, when I lived with them, his parents for about 10 months or so, they taught me. And I was
cool.
what is what is a juice? Like they would juice every morning. I was like, what the fuck is a juice?
Right.
My mom did not have us juicing in the morning. Like, we
You're like, find whatever you can find.
My mom was like, here's an apple juice and top ramen at night. Like, I don't know what a juice is. Yeah.
As long as you're breathing, I'm good.
Yeah. She's like, I think you're healthy. So yeah, he's real smart.
Oh, and you actually incorporated him in Beyond the Fit and Physical.
Yeah, so he is our nutritional specialist. So every week he'll do a lecture, like a live for our clients.
And I kicked myself because that was the time that I got out, and then you presented him. I'm like, I want to so bad.
Yeah.
But because that's such a huge part,
Yeah.
it's actually flipped a lot of the time where people think that exercise, and that's how you're going to get the dream body that you want. How do you kind of manage or maneuver, your clients when they're giving you pictures of these like models and what they see constantly in movies and in commercials and in what do you tell them?
I always just try to help them see their own beauty. And I'll give them homework. I'll literally say, stand in front of a mirror and tell yourself you're pretty 50 times. And they're like, I'm not doing that. I'm like, fucking do it. Like, because you know what? We all have beauty within us. And this is going to sound super hippy dippy, but we all have something about us that makes us unique and super beautiful. And unfortunately, most people go their whole life without seeing it.
Right.
And they're constantly bombarded by, I love the Kardashians, but they're bombarded by these types of people who it's not real. And so
and really, it's not real because they have so much help to make them beautiful look the way that they are.
Yeah, so I'm always telling my clients, like, stop comparing yourself. Like, find what makes you beautiful and, like, celebrate it. I was always saying, celebrate the small wins.
Yes.
It's still a win. Like, oh, you got up in the morning without hitting snooze. That's a fucking win. Let's go. Like, and I'm always just encouraging them to the point where they're like, I am a badass, It's crazy because I was telling my friend the other day, I've had, like, probably 4 or 5 women break up or divorce their husbands during my program. Yeah. And
Holy
I was like,
cow,
it's not something I'm like proud of.
but
they find they're like, hold up, I'm a badass. I don't need to be fucking sitting with this schlum, any longer. Right. And so they find their power really. And vice versa. I've had a male client separate from his wife as too because she was treating him like shit.
And he didn't realize his worth.
Didn't
his
realize
value.
it. And it's like, listen, you are a badass. You have every single challenge that you've ever had, you've come through. So that says something.
Right.
And like, let's celebrate that. And yeah.
Yeah, but don't use me to be the reason why you break up when you've been wanting to do it.
I'm like, leave my name out of it. But I'm happy that you found yourself. Yeah.
Way to level up. Good job.
I start getting like hate mail from angry husbands.
Angry husbands, an angry wife apparently now.
I'm like, oh shoot.
If you see a new key mark on your car.
It's so true.
Slashing your tires randomly all the time.
So
well, let's not glaze over what happened to you with the sexual assault a couple of years ago. This happened, and you did share it with us.
Yeah.
And what did you go through?
So it was a really weird experience. It was a couple of years ago, 2017, and I was in grad school, and I went out with a friend just because, and we didn't realize it was Cinco de Mayo.
And
And so it was popping, and that's not why we went out. We didn't even realize. But we're like, okay, we found this group of people that we went to high school with. Hadn't seen them, didn't really know them, but we just went to school together. So, I don't know, we all ended up back at one of their houses, and my friend left. Yeah, she left, and at the time, this was really bad, but I was like, I'm just going to drive home, but I'm going to sit and sober up, you know?
Right.
And so I was sitting there, which is not
We've
good.
all done that.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
I was like, oh, shit. So I was like, I'm just going to sit and sober up. So I went to a different room, and this guy came up, and I recognized him from high school, but I didn't know him well. Literally, all I remember is asking for a glass of water. I just
And you don't remember.
And I woke up completely naked. Yeah, completely naked in a bed by myself, and my clothes were folded like super nicely at the end of the bed on the covers. So I woke up, I'm looking around, and I'm like, and I look down, I'm like, I never sleep like this.
Right.
And I'm like, this is weird. And so, you know, I quickly got dressed, left the house. I saw the guy sleeping downstairs on the couch. I called one of my friends. I was like, yeah, this is really weird. And in my mind, I was thinking, fuck, I cheated on Spencer. Fuck. Like, I'm naked. Hello. Like, what'd I do? And then she's like, well, who was it? What'd you do? And I was like, I don't remember. And I was like, this is different from being blacked out. You know, I've been.
Yeah, right.
I was like, this is different. Yeah, I was like, this is a little different because I don't remember anything.
And that's very odd for you.
And it was different. So she convinced me to go to the emergency room.
And get a test.
And so I went, and before I knew it, cops showed up. And I'm looking at the nurse like, why the fuck are cops here? And she's like, well, this isn't an assault. This is a crime. And I'm like, no.
He's like, I
didn't want all this. I was just coming to get checked, right? And they came and started asking a bunch of questions. And there was like a young cop and an old cop. And
oh, that dynamic must have been interesting.
It was weird because he was asking me, you know, the young cop, I understand he's probably in training, but he goes, well, what were you wearing? I'm like, don't fucking ask me what the fuck I was wearing.
That's that slut shaming.
Get out of here. Were you flirting? And I said, yes. I'm a natural flirt. I flirt with fucking everybody. I don't care. I'll flirt with your grandpa. Like, I flirt with everybody. And he goes, okay. And he said, well, where were your clothes when you woke up? And I just snapped at the cop. And I was like, why does that matter? Yes. I was like, get me out of here. And he goes, well, and he gets all quiet and nervous. He goes, well, you know, when you have sex with your boyfriend, where are your clothes? I said, I don't know, either under the covers or on the floor.
Right.
And he's like, so why were your clothes folded at the end of the bed over the covers? And I just started like bawling because he's like, someone probably took off your clothes and put them there.
Oh, so he was trying to get to the.
He was trying to get
the way.
Yeah, but the way I was just like. And so
it's like what it made it sound like you were asking for it.
Yeah, and so it was just a hard time, and the exam is really intrusive. It's really intrusive. They black lights, you're naked, they're putting cameras in all types of fucking holes. It's not fun at all.
And so they concluded that yes, you were.
So all they can say is the forensic nurse says, well, I can't tell you what happened to you, and I can't tell you what was in you, which that part scared me. She says, all I can say is that there are tears on all sides of your vaginal walls. And I said, well, what does that mean? She said, well, what was in you, which that fucking kept bothering me.
Yeah, because
I was like, what do you mean what? Was it a hand, an object? Like, what was it?
Yeah.
And she said, I can't tell you what it was, but it forced its way in because everything's ripped. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it was a lot. It fucked me up for a long time.
I was gonna say, so I mean, then having the talk with because you never really opened up about it until you sat with it for a while.
Yeah, I sat with it for like maybe even close to a year before I shared. It was just you have a lot of shame around it,
and then you can understand because you know when you're not in it.
Yeah.
The strong woman in us, an independent woman in us is like, oh, I would never fucking let that shit happen to me. And I would totally tell somebody and I would totally get the help. But you don't.
You don't. And yeah, so I sat with it. You have a lot of shame and like guilt, embarrassment. And one thing that kind of helped me was when I was in the hospital. I had to go to 2 different hospitals. When I was in the first one, after the cops, interviewed me for the first time, a nurse came up to me and she held my hand and she said, honey, even if you drank an entire keg to yourself, this is not okay.
Fault. Yeah.
And that helped me because in my mind, I'm thinking, well, I was drinking a ton. It was Cinco de Mayo. It was a spontaneous night. Like, maybe I was flirting with him. Maybe I did. And she just like put all that to bed. And she's like, it doesn't matter if you drink a whole keg.
Thank God for those nurses.
Yeah, that nurse was great. Like, shout out to that nurse. She like really, because after, getting interviewed by the cop, you start to feel like a piece of shit. Like, oh, maybe it was my fault. And for the longest time, I didn't give them his name. Because I felt, I started feeling bad for him. I was like, well, I don't want to get him in trouble if this was consensual. I don't want to get him in trouble.
Right.
And she was like, it's not, if you don't fucking remember a damn thing, that's not consensual. Like, we've all had our blacked out hookups or whatever.
But it doesn't give someone the right to take advantage of you.
No idea what happened. Yeah, to this day. Yeah, which is really awful.
And then still the whole what was in you.
Yeah, something about that like stuck with me when she was like, "Well, I can't tell you what was in you," and because initially I'm thinking, well, it's only going to be a dick, right?
Right.
Like,
but then you think, oh wait,
then,
no, this sick world and all the shit.
It is a sick world, yeah. And I'm like, I don't know what this guy did.
Okay, so then did you have to go through therapy? Did you have
they push therapy. Not push, they encourage therapy, the hospital and stuff. But
the irony, because you're in psychology,
I know.
right?
And I knew the benefit of it, but I was not ready. Like, I was just not ready to talk about it.
Were you still kind of in the denial phase of it all?
I think I was.
And the shame and the guilt for
I think
yourself.
It was embarrassment, shame, guilt. And I had a boyfriend. I mean, Spencer was my boyfriend at the time. And I was like, how is he going to
look at me and receive me?
Yeah, how is he going to look at me now? And that's actually the start of where we started having a lot of problems, more so for me. Like, ended up just being kind of promiscuous, and I was just always going out, trying to get attention, like getting male attention, and it just fucked me up in the head, really. Like, and of course, I didn't have any of these realizations until like in the last year or so, but during that time, I was just like, now I'm gross, so it doesn't matter.
Right. So you were trying to do everything in your power for him to leave you.
100%. I asked him to break up with me. I was like, just break up with me,
And he's like, no, weirdo.
Yeah.
Just talk to me.
Yeah.
Wow, I commend him for that because not a lot of guys would actually be understanding enough and kind of know that, okay, this is not the person I fell in love with. Yeah. Something's going on and she's not telling me.
Yeah.
And so when it finally came out, he was like,
well, because they had to test him and stuff too to rule him out. So I called him when I was in the hospital, and I was just like, oh my God. Of course, no male wants to hear that. Like, his first instinct was just like, who the fuck is this dude?
Right,
like,
I'm going to kill him.
I'm going to kill him, My dad, I had to tell my dad, and my dad's like, my dad's fucking confident.
Right?
I was like, I'm not telling dad, I don't know what to tell him. Like, he's scary.
He's probably still got priors. No, just kidding.
Yeah, for real though. I'm like, I don't want to get nobody in trouble, So, yeah, it was a lot.
Oh,
but I came through it. Like, I literally, that's why I can talk about it now, because it doesn't affect me in the same way. And a same thing when I shared it, surprised with how many people
had gone through it, something similar, or still hadn't had the courage to come out about it.
So many people. I've never told anyone. I was the first, probably for a handful of women, to be like, I've never, people message strangers. I've never told anybody this, and they would tell me their story. And I would say, I'm not going to force you to tell anybody, but
thank you for sharing with me.
Yes, thank you for sharing. I said, but there is some power in sharing. Every time I talk about it more, I get like more okay with it. And, So.
And when you open it up to your community who actually cares about you, you learn certain things, right? And you can actually utilize those things in what you're going through, which is huge. Yeah. And I mean, that's one of the upsides of social media and being able to connect to people, so many people in an instant.
There really is a power in community.
Yeah, there really is. And I mean, with you being African American and then your Italian side and Irish, like, family, right? And then for us being Pacific Islanders, oh my gosh, we pretty much, it takes a village for us, and we're constantly in each other's business.
Everyone knows everybody's business.
Downtime, we all need therapy.
Yeah.
Oh, but I wouldn't trade that part, knowing that I have that community, because I don't know how I'd go on, you know what I mean? Like, to not, because I've seen people, I have friends and family members who have been ostracized or who don't have anybody, and that's a lonely world to begin with.
Yeah, and that's too why we have tried to build a community around Beyond the Physical. There are women who are now friends who are living across the country from each other, and because they don't have that other support.
Right.
Maybe they're in an abusive relationship and they have no one to talk to because their parents think that they're crazy for being in this relationship, but they don't understand that it's hard to get out of it or whatever.
Right.
So then they have the community. They have us to be like, just listen to them and encourage them. Yeah.
And with that said, I can't believe, time flies when we're having fun and we're sharing all this goodness, all these gems is dropping everywhere. But please tell us how to be a part of Beyond the Physical.
So it's mostly Instagram. You can reach out to me at KennyMarie_fits or at Team Beyond the Physical. So that is our Instagram handles. You can just ask for an application. I send out an application and then I review it. And I'll send you back a video telling you what, I think we need to do. then we go from there.
Yeah.
And it's summer coming up, so.
Okay, it already is happening.
Yeah.
Although this weather here in Southern California is so bipolar.
I know.
But I feel like it's going to be a scorcher.
Yeah, it
this
is.
year
I'm
for
excited.
sure. I'm trying to get into that bikini body. Okay, airbrush all day.
Yeah.
No. But no, please take it from me. Kenny is incredible, and beyond the physical, is still a part of my life to this day. I'm one of them loyal followers over here who got my girls back.
Oh,
Anybody who wants to fucks with us. So make sure you follow Kenny Marie _fits. And then beyond the physical, Facebook,
Yeah,
Instagram,
Facebook,
Twitter, TikTok.
TikTok, I'm all over the damn place. LinkedIn, fuck.
She's got it all. Yeah. Thank you again for tuning in and watching or listening to Everyone Loves Lulu. Make sure you go out there, see, hear, and speak love. I love you. Mwah, mwah, mwah.
See love, hear love, speak love. Everyone loves Lulu. See love, hear love, speak love. Everyone loves Lulu.